So welcome everyone. Good to see you again. So today we have a special guest who we can discuss with about the technical implementation of the default content. And so I saw just a little bit of like what's happening on that. I saw your doc kit. It looks very good actually in overall. So I might leave some specific comments later, but like in overall, it looks great. So very good job on that kit. That it looks like it's like 98% done or 99% done. So it saves a huge amount of my time. So that's great.
Great. I think it's been really helpful because it's also laying out quite a bit of the questions around where we're needing to sort of approach this from a briefing perspective as well. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So I suspect there might be some issues that stuff can be moved across to.
Yeah. But in overall, like there's like the overall looks good. So there is like some specifics that we can probably discuss just by like writing on the Google Doc. But besides that, it looks good. Have anyone else had time to take a look on the doc?
Actually, when did you look? Because I was working on it in the last 2 hours.
I just looked it before, like 20 minutes before the call.
Oh, and I haven't, sorry.
Yeah. So now it looks very good, and that's the reason why I didn't have the time to give the specific feedback yet, and we'll do so later. So Rodrigo, so you've been working on this module at your company to import some default content. I'm gonna try to find the link. We had some questions in mind. It was mostly related to like we are trying to. So what we are trying to find is kind of like a very minimalistic solution that we could include in core. So we are not looking for a proper framework. It doesn't have to be like a huge framework to be, because it's included in Drupal core. So we want it to be very simple. Probably something that imports like JSON or CSV or anything like that is fine for us. It doesn't really. I haven't. Someone was proposing that CSV would be good because of like even non-technical people could write CSV, but anything is good for me. I don't have a strong opinion on what it should be, but so kind of like what are the requirements for us is that it has to be very minimalistic so that it's something that we can include in Drupal core. Like if it's too complex, if it does too many things, it's not something we really would like to include. But what we need it to do is to be able to import multiple different entity types. So we need to be able to import at least nodes, taxonomies, and possibly blocks as well. And
new items, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think we have on the MVP. I don't think we have any other entities. Or did you say something?
Sample users?
Users?
No. Yeah.
Yeah. So the basic features I saw that like it says that you can have like entity underscore type dot bundle or something like that. So does it work as well with the non-bundle entities like user?
Well, you have to repeat the bundle, but yeah, it's user.user, and that's it.
Okay. So it works.
The syntax is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it has the nice thing that you can specify the password in plain text, and then it's like hash and stuff.
Yeah. So how about things like blocks? Have you even looked into that? If you haven't, it's fine.
I don't think blocks, content blocks, need a special treatment. I think they will work out of the box. I have to check, but it's just fields.
Yeah. So they have some weird things. They have just some weird things related to the UUID. That's the only kind of like thing that we need to take care that we somehow manage that.
UUID is just a field that you can specify in your CSV file, or well, you mentioned JSON also. I actually like JSON more because it allows for subfields and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I personally also would prefer JSON because as a developer, I feel like it's more explicit. It's like more verbose, so it's easier to like kind of figure out what's wrong if something's wrong. With CSV, it's sometimes very tricky because of like maybe it works with spaces or something like that, and then you kind of have to figure it out. So is there anything else that this? So if we would want to include this in some form in Drupal core, do you have any idea what would that mean for the module? What would we have to change? Do you have any thoughts? What is the future of the module, or is it like?
Well, it needs to change that these formats that we were talking about, CSV or JSON or YAML, has to be pluggable somehow. That first, well, it needs a bit of code cleaning because right now it's a bit of just a big block that creates the migration plugins on the go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know right now anything else, but it can be worked
so it's using the migrate to do.
Well,
yeah.
And also the dependencies. Right now it depends on migrate tools, but that can be removed because it was also actually to make migration groups, and that can be achieved with tags that they are also there in migrate core. So
yeah, so there's migrate tools, migrate plus, migrate.
But I think that can be removed. Yeah.
So these are all contributed modules. Is that correct? Yep. Is it possible to remove all of these?
Yeah, migrate tools is just migrate tools is the one that gives you the Drush commands, I think. So
okay,
it's just for having some Drush commands to run the migrations, and yeah, migrate plus is for doing groups, so it can be removed. I don't think there is more problems with that.
Migrate source CSV and migrate source YAML. Are those in core or are those contrib?
No, those are contrib, but they will need to be like pluggable. Like you don't when you install more modules that give you more possibilities to have data files for migrate default content, then if we decide on JSON, we will need migrate default content JSON, something like that,
Yeah, so we need to build our own kind of like a plugin for that.
It's very simple. For example, the YAML one is very simple.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. So Gabor, you have been working on the migrate as well. Do you have any thoughts on this? We're just discussing how are we, like, a little bit of the technical implementation of the default content, just to get kind of like an idea which direction we should go to.
Mm-hmm. I haven't explored importing default content with migrate, but if we already have sufficient coverage, so that we don't need to add a lot new code in core for that would be great. To not add yet another way of importing content.
Yeah. So the module itself, what this module does, it's a very small module. Like, it doesn't really have that many lines of code. So I feel like even if you would go with any custom solution, it would include more lines. But just the bigger concern is all the dependencies that it has, and that was useful to hear that they can be removed.
They can be removed. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we plan to do something like this, would you be willing to help us a little bit on that? Because it would be really good, because we don't have that many backend developers working on the initiative. So I think there will be
example,
using it after
sorry.
Yeah, so you don't probably have to do everything alone, but just it's good if you are prepared to do some work, especially on the initial phase. It would be great. That would help us a lot.
For example, next week I will be in Seville working on this alone.
Okay.
I think I have nothing else planned actually.
Okay, that sounds really good. So I will be available next week. So if you need any help from me, feel free to ask me. So we can
Perfect.
discuss on IRC or whatever works for you the best.
Yeah, there is some stuff that also need to be like pluggable somehow, like the support for paragraphs that we don't really want it in core. Things like that need to be like separated from the what is the core module. We can make like submodules while it's in contrib, things like that.
Yeah. So it would be great if we could do some work for that, and maybe we could even do like a small proof of concept how are we going to import the content in Drupal core.
Yeah, I have to read this document that you're talking about, but it will be like a profile or something, no? Like an install profile that will have like default content in a folder or something like that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be installed during the installation of the installation profile.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we are planning to do. Another thing that I actually wanted to ask you was that at some point there has been mentions that it's required to remove the content, like make a big bang remove of all the content. Is that something that you've been looking at?
That's why we use Migrate mainly to be able to do a revert of all the content that we have on the tables, and then
okay.
the site is blank again. That's very good.
Okay, so we could technically provide very easily a path for the user to remove all the content.
Yeah, but what I'm concerned about is that if migrate is a dependency, it will be finally installed on the site somehow. But if it's just for demo purposes, I don't know if it's a problem or not.
Well, I guess install it and uninstall it after that.
Yeah, I
on
don't
the
think
installation profile.
Yeah, I don't think you need to keep it installed. So just remove it.
Well, right now Migrate doesn't remove the tables that it creates, so you can install it again and do a revert. But I think in the future, Migrate will remove the tables that it installs. I don't know.
Yeah. So, is that something that we need to be concerned about when we do default content? So it will leave some tables, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well.
Just for the revert, for if you want to delete everything that you created.
Yeah, so it's so that because you have those tables that allows you to delete the migrated content, but allows you to keep the content that you've manually created in the meanwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good point that we need to probably discuss if order tables is the way we want to go by storing the data, or if we want to define something manual on these entities or something else, how we remove it. But it sounds like this would be the easiest solution. But yeah, again, the problem is that then they need to enable the migrate and do the migrate again. Like do some kind of a migrate again to remove the existing. Yeah, but that's probably something we can get sorted out. Right now, this is not something that I believe this is for the MVP, or did someone else understand so that this would be required for the MVP? So I think it was at some point Angie's concern was that she wanted this to be possible so that people could use this as a building point for their real sites. But I think we all agreed when we ensure that everyone is on the same page that this is just a demo and it's for like testing purposes, not for building a site, that we probably don't need to be, you don't need to be able to delete all the test content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't hear at least any crossing opinions.
That's what was agreed.
Yeah.
In terms of keeping it just for the MVP.
Yeah.
And I guess anything we can do in the design of this and the model that you use and the way that it's actually installed to mean that it could be expanded in the future is great.
Yeah. But yeah, so just about that, the little bit of problem that I have with deleting default content is that it can be too radical for a lot of the users, because like it will remove the box, it will remove the all of the content, and basically they will just have a blank site after that. And it can be just that they don't understand like what is the consequence of deleting all the content. But
yeah, because the concept of content.
yeah, because of everything is content. So you basically, like, even though you have the views and you would have the regions, they wouldn't have anything because of you've removed all the content.
The good thing about relying on Migrate is that you have separated, like, delete all the users, delete all the articles.
Oh, so you could remove per entity basis.
Yeah, because you have many migrations, one per bundle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then maybe we could even like fine tune that into this purpose somehow. Like build another view for deleting default content, and yeah, that sounds pretty good.
And I forgot to mention that it supports translations also of notes recently added.
Okay. I think on the MVP we might not have any translations, but maybe in the future we might have. Let's see. I think with the translations, the biggest problem that we would have to have the translations for everything then.
No, for profiles to provide demo content translated, things like that. I was thinking.
Yeah, that would be pretty. It would be pretty cool to be able to have the demo translated into different languages. Yeah. Anything else that you want to mention about this module, about the technical implementation that we should talk about today? So this is in the very early stage in terms of the technical implementation of the default content.
So what you saw is the other default content are too complicated for this purpose, or?
Yeah, that's what so this one seemed like it was the most minimalistic one as far as I was looking at the different modules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why I assumed that this one would be easiest.
Okay.
To install. To have included. But we yeah, like
should we try
do you have any
contact?
So do you have any other proposals? Like, do you have proposals that we should use something else?
I don't know.
If you think so, that's something that can be valuable as well.
I know. Well, Christina has been using the module too. I don't know if, well, one of the goals is that we wanted to make it easier for everyone to create the files and
yeah, it's quite easy.
Yeah, so
because there's actually an example. So
yeah, it's actually
for profile installation. So
yeah, so for me, it's more about like how much is included in the module, like how many things does it try to solve. But so default content module, it doesn't use migrate at all. I can send the link.
Can we contact them?
Yeah, we can.
Ask?
So this one. I'm sending a link. So this one is the other one that I was looking at. It's a fairly simple one as well, but it doesn't leverage migrate at all. It might be a good thing or it might be a bad thing as well. But
I have no idea. So probably they could explain us, or someone that has used it.
yeah, now that I'm thinking of this more, I feel like this is not a decision that like we should be making alone. Like I think we should ask some of the framework managers as well about their opinions. Should we use migrate? Should we use some other approach? Maybe they have some ideas. And then we can also use that as a tool, because maybe they have some opinion that we shouldn't use migrate or that we should use it. Yeah. So I'm going to ask them, what do they think? What would be the best approach? If it's a good idea to use migrate or not. But that was proposed by quite a few people. Any other approaches? I haven't looked at any other ones than these two. So there is still a third one. The default content for D8. So default underscore content. So that one I haven't looked at all. Does anyone have any experience with that?
Before creating the D8 version for migrate default content, because we had it in D7 also, I look at these modules and they seem too complicated. Like a lot of, and I wasn't able to make them function properly, and that's, well, I dropped them maybe a bit early, but that's what my impression was.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one I haven't looked at, but the other one, I got a similar impression that starting would be easiest with that one. But I will ask the other framework. I will ask the other framework managers that are more backend focused, and maybe they have some opinions, and then we can make a decision if we should use migrate or if we should not use migrate, or if we should do something else. Anyway, it seems like the module that you've been working on fulfills most of the requirements that we would have. So at least it would be a good starting point for building some demo and using it as a tool to import the default content, at least on the development phase, and then we can figure out how can we evolve from that. Yeah.
Great.
So thank you. Thank you for showing us and giving us some time to discuss this module. It was useful. So the other thing I wanted to discuss was about the sample content, because of the sample content and the kind of the overall plan is what is blocking us from proceeding. Like we need some kind of plan for how's the content model going to be like, so that we can start working on the design and other things. So that's why I would like to get the default content moving, so that it won't block the design. So just about the I can see that Keith has said that the first step should be define the review and sign off requirements for the below. Can you? That was the one of the parts that I was a little bit uncertain. What does that mean in practice in this case? Is it define review and sign off requirements for each of the steps that we have?
No, I was meaning what's the process for review and sign off of content?
Oh, I see.
So whatever our content requirements are.
Okay, so
Yeah.
define the review and sign off requirements for the for the content model. Is that?
Well, it's exactly. That's bundled in there, definitely. So it's basically what's the process for reviewing and signing off content that is created. Yeah, actually, it's probably below the content model because I think the content model drives what needs to be created. That's a point I've made up here somewhere. So yeah, it's definitely that one point was referring to what review and sign off process exists for the content creation.
Okay, so for the content creation itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that should be yeah, so should this be I think we should work at the same time on the content model and defining the review and sign off requirements, because I think these go kind of like hand by hand.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like 1, 2, it's more like 1 A, B / like work on these things together, and then we have a plan that we can follow.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes now I understand what is.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be a point further down. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the next things we should get done is the content model and defining the review and sign off requirements for the content creation, and the planning of the content model is currently blocked on the user stories, that we don't have the user stories fully figured out. Do you know, Gabor, when is your next product manager meeting? When do you have time?
It will probably be next week, pretty much, because we'll be at Dev Days next week. So.
Okay, that sounds good. So maybe you can have some discussion around that. If you need me to participate on that, or if you need any of my like insights on anything, just feel free to ping me. I can join on using Hangouts. Yeah. So maybe next week we can get this, the user stories moving, and then we can get the content model finished. I think the content model itself is at the good stage, but we need to double check everything after we have the user stories done. Like then we can polish it and make it kind of like the actual plan that we are going to be implementing. So about the review and sign off requirements for the content creation, that's something that I believe we could even work at this point, because we have a little bit of the content model already planned out. So probably we should just create another doc for that and link it here and start working on that, and then create a process and steps. How are we going to review the content itself once it's created? So about the next step, which is to define a brand, style, tone, and content brief for the. So this one is actually as well something that we could work already. We could make work on the brand, because the user stories don't necessarily relate to the brand of this company, or that's at least what I feel like, because we have a pretty clear idea of what the use case is going to be. So we could work on the brand itself and kind of on the mood boards and kind of on that, how higher level of trying to create the design.
Yeah, I think that would be really useful because we could be covering naming of the magazine as well, and thinking about what types of articles would fit in with the style of the magazine that we're producing or mocking up. So definitely something that can be going. It's already started, I suppose, in a way, in that there's some ideas in the pot already. But that's exactly why they're just ideas in the pot. So starting to sort of broaden that out a little bit. And I guess naming is always a bit of a challenge anyway, because we've got to pick something that that doesn't either exist or doesn't overlap with some other brand out there that's awkwardly close. Yeah, definitely something that can start.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So discuss what we have, and yeah, so this is something that we probably should create a new we could create a new issue on. Actually, now revert everything I said. Let's not create issues for this yet, because we don't want to be publishing these things yet. That the brand style tone. We want to do it a little bit later, I think. But I guess opening up the issue with the requirements, like the information that we have at this point, wouldn't hurt, even though we wouldn't post the results there at this point yet. Yeah, so I'm gonna open up a issue for this second step, for defining the brand style and tone for the food magazine. So we can start working on that. We don't have to communicate on the issue itself. We can communicate on the Slack channel, so that we don't have to, do this very iterative process with the whole community being involved in every step, but instead try to make a proposal and then get the community involved with that. Because it's like, if we make something just, to kind of test our ideas, something that is not fully done, it's wasting the community effort to ask feedback out of something like that, because it's like everyone's going to comment like, every detail that they found that is wrong, even though we know already at that point that it's wrong. So it makes more sense to work with those kind of half-done designs kind of privately. It's not private because not fully private because there's like more than 50 people, almost 100 people there, but still it's more private than on the issue queue. But I will write issue for that, so we can continue working on that. So how would you like? So Keith, I assume that we will need your work on this. How would you like to work on that? Like, what do you need so that you could do some work related to that? Besides that, I open up issue with all the information that I have in my head, then you can add whatever you have in your head, and then after that we can probably start kind of like the creative process that happens. But is there something else that we have to do before that creative process can start?
I think it would be good to just start with agreement that if what already exists in terms of a direction. So in the original, I don't know if they were shared actually. We did a number of different names for the magazine, and we did a number of mock-ups for the logo just to get some kind of creative thinking going. And it probably would be worth sharing that if we all agree. But making it clear this is just the start. We want to expand on this. I mean, we can just keep drilling down on ideas. That's something we enjoy doing, so we can just keep doing that, sharing that as we go. But most importantly, not just sort of throwing ideas out there. I think it's important that we are agreeing that we've got some kind of strategy behind what it is we're trying to achieve. So I guess starting with a name is a good place to start. Something that's going to work, and then we can start bringing the creative element in, and obviously we can start getting a bit of a brand built around that as well. So I guess name is a good obvious starting point, and I think sharing that in Slack could work, but also somewhere to share the ideas. Just loads of links in Slack might not be the ideal, so just one place to go and look at visual assets.
Yeah. So we were discussing that we probably are going to create a Google Drive for the designs.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that solve that problem, that we create a Google Drive?
Yes, I think
Or
so.
should we use some other type of for that?
Oh yeah, I'm pausing because of commenting on ideas. But then you can link, as long as you can link to the asset. We want the conversation. If we want the conversation to go on in Slack, then we can link to the asset in Google Drive. So it's not a bad starting point, I think.
Yeah. Is there any other tools that you would like to like propose that we would use instead? Like if there is, we can definitely like maybe maybe you prefer to work on with Sketch and Zeppelin.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
but that limits obviously the amount of like what kind of information can we have there. Like then we can only have sketch files.
Yeah, at the moment, I don't know if I've got an answer to that question because there, as you rightly point out, there's that route. There's a number of different types of solutions you could use. InVision App's another one that we've used, but I think that it probably does need to be a bit more loose in terms of the type of assets that we're putting there. So why not start with something simple, which is Google Drive, and if we find it's not working for us, spin it off in another way.
Yeah. So let's try that and figure out something better. Yeah, the problem with most of the solutions is that a lot of them cost money, and usually quite substantial amount of money. So it can be difficult to get something like that, and especially if you have to create like a license for 50 people or something like that. That wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah.
So unless we could get some of these companies sponsor us, that would be another option. But I will create a Google Drive so that we can kind of, so what we can put there, we can put all of the docs that we've written, because there's a lot of docs we've written in the past, so we can include all of those in there. And then we can also add all the assets, all the files that we've been working on previously.
Yeah. So the only thing that I'm thinking about that possibly that doesn't quite solve is how we handle the sort of overall story around the conversation. It'd be great to be able to, obviously there's going to be conversations going on in Slack. It's how do we wrap up the thinking in terms of how that content is presented as well, and telling the story, if you like. So I'll have a think about that. I remember on when the Blue Cheese theme was developed for Drupal.org, that was done as just a really simple set of HTML wireframes through which you could obviously then add notes, and they were always available to step through. But then it was presented in a fashion that was easy to revisit, easy to know, the structure of what was being presented, and easy to see the iterations. So it could be that there is the need to think about something like that as well.
Yeah, something like that could be a solution. I have to look at that. How did that work out? I wasn't involved with the Blue Cheese at all.
Yeah. It was definitely handy for everybody to have something that they could refer to, and obviously then also point links at. And it was a series of iterations, so you could compare. You could provide a couple of links and discuss the differences between 2 points.
Yeah.
So it just gave a bit of structure to, rather than just sort of a folder full of assets.
Yeah, I see what you are what you're saying. Yeah, so we will need issue and we will need discussion about the name, so we can get the brand and style and tone. So about the so copyright assignment is something we cannot really work before we have at least some kind of a content model worked out, or can be. Oh.
I think it would be good to get some notes down on the conversations that have already happened over on the farmers market example content. So that was, I know we've covered this in previous weeks, but the idea is that we're going to be creating content that's all going well, original. And on that basis, therefore, hopefully copyright isn't going to be an issue. I guess the point I'm making in that particular bullet point is just to say we just need to be thinking about this and making sure there's some level of governance over it. And whether we also need to hire in a bit of help to get some advice on any angles if that's necessary. I say hire in, I mean just, you know, it's whether there is any expert help needed or whether it's something that can be offered by organizations that are involved in Drupal.
I'm just writing a comment on this.
That's very much new territory for me, obviously, because typically you're just producing content for a client and the boundaries are clear.
Now it is slightly different. Define what guidelines and requirements for copyright and licensing that we must follow. I think this one we will need to do a little bit earlier. It would be probably good to do at some point here. It would be even something that we could do here, like in the very early. So we will need, we had problems with fonts, I think. Fonts.
Yeah, I read that thread.
Images. Did we have any other types of licensing problems because of probably the recipes is good to document as well.
Yeah.
And we use pre-made.
Who is about who? This?
That's like who can work on this.
Who can advise?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and who can advise? Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't there like its own working group for licensing?
No idea.
I think there used to be one, but I don't think it's there anymore.
Okay. At least there is still a project for that. It says actively maintained. Yeah. I'm not sure if it exists anymore. So people need someone who knows about GPL2 in this case then. It doesn't necessarily have to be inside our community as well. Like it can be anyone who knows about this particular license. So I will probably just send out tweet or something. Maybe someone will be available for chat.
Maybe even in the Slack group. We can ask.
Good. Yeah. We could ask there. But I think this is something that we can find help on. open source people are passionate about open source, and usually they are willing to help. So it doesn't seem like something that will be the biggest struggle. I think it's more about how much is the results going to hurt us. Like if we figure out that we can't use any fonts, or if we figure out we can't use any images, that we have to go take every image by ourselves, or have to build every recipe from scratch by ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, the image one, I could imagine we may well have to be taking those by ourselves. I guess
unless someone like just gives us images.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, then
there's this home album.
Right, exactly. But it's just making sure that we know the source. I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah, that we know that they are actually the owners of the image. Yeah, that's actually a very difficult part because of
Yeah, and I think we have that challenge with recipes anyway, because unless recipes can be used, well, the recipes are going to obviously need an image if we're going to present this in a convincing way. So we need to think about how we're going to source those images. So I think we'll be cooking them up, taking photos. Anyone any good at cooking?
Yeah, I guess I could try something.
If it's only a picture, I can try it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can definitely try it, but it's kind of, I feel like it might be easier to get good results if we could use someone else's images. Not that our images would be bad, but just saying that it will take a lot of effort.
It will take a lot of effort.
Good images.
Yeah.
So we need some advice on that. What can we do?
Yeah, I do know someone that might be able to help us on that one, with the images one.
Okay, like as in taking images, or as in helping with that?
So they're a photographer, and they've done quite a bit of work with food photography. So I'll have a chat with them. Yeah,
moving just things a little bit around, just copy pasting. Yeah, I think now the audio looks at least good for me. Yeah, looks good. Yeah, so I think so. There's like so I've now split the remaining tasks into 2 phases. So I think we have actually 3 phases. So we still have like the phase C, which will actually be like implementing the default content and all the steps related to that. I just put it as a one-liner for now, but we can extend it. So I think the whole phase A is actionable now. So we can work on everything that is in the phase A. So I will create issues to be able to work on those specific things. And after we've worked on these kind of overlap as well with what we have on the create a new user-facing content. Yeah, let me look at that. Okay, so after you have posted this, so after Keith has posted this update on the issue, I will create like an overview of both of these in the meta issue, so that we stay on track of both of these issues. So I will kind of, because these map pretty well together, I think, but we will just need to do a little bit of extra work on that on the parent issue to make sure that it's clear what is actionable and what is not actionable. So just from the create a new team design. So there is, we are now on the phase B over there, creating a design. So we should create initial proposal for the design principles and values, page concepts. So that's what we can work on. But we need to work on at the same time on, so that we can proceed on those. We should define the brand and the name and these things that we need here as well on the default content. So they kind of relate to each other. So that's what we can work on during the next week. So Christina, you're going to be at the Dev Days, is that correct?
Yes.
Keith, are you going to be there, or are you missing out all the fun?
Yeah, I am missing out all the fun. I really wish I could be there. I'm lining everything up if I can to be at Front End United. Are you going to that?
Yeah, I think I'm going there. I'm not 100% sure, but pretty sure.
Okay.
If you're going, I think I can say that I'm going as well.
Great. Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure now. Yeah, that's it. Right, that's the diary field.
Yeah. So just could you? So are you planning to work on this next week, Christina, or some
yes.
other usability stuff?
What
or both?
Yeah, I don't know exactly on what can I work right now.
Okay, because it would be great if Keith and Christina, if you could communicate with each other, like if there's something that Christina could do,
yeah,
like related to the design,
yeah,
it would be very useful. But
yeah, I think
besides that, I'm also available next week, even though I'm not physically available. So we can sprint on this with Christina, and maybe ping Keith if there's something that we want to ask. So that's something we can do.
All right.
Are you there from Monday on, or are you arriving on Tuesday?
On Tuesday, but probably I'm gonna start to work on Wednesday. Not sure about that, but
okay.
It's possible.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Just wanted to get an idea. What is your plan? Yeah. I think that's all for today. Thanks everyone again for coming, and let's try to get. Mark is saying that he's going to be at the Front End United too. If I can be any help, I think he can be help. I think at that point we are going to be a little bit further in the process, and I know that you are passionate about implementing designs, so maybe we will have that type of work.
Great. I think we have 5 front-enders going to it.
5 of you?
From Anertech, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Certainly 4, maybe 5.
Okay. That sounds very good. It's going to be a big group of you.
Mm.
Yeah. So it looks like I shouldn't be missing out.
No.
Otherwise, I will be very sad. I'm actually very sad to miss the Dev Days.
So I've got one really quick question. Is the next product meeting before our next UX meeting? I didn't catch that earlier.
Did Gabor say something about that?
I think so I don't know about the UX meeting next week, but that it may happen regardless of Dev Days, I guess, depending on the dinner plans and stuff for Tuesday. May happen. I don't know.
Okay. Larry, I'll just ping you
Yeah.
a couple of questions on Slack.
Feel free
just-
to
I'm
do so.
Just thinking, have we covered everything that might need to be raised in that product meeting, just to keep things moving quickly?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do so.
Great.
So let's discuss on Slack, and let's do some sprinting next week. Whoever is at the dev days, I will be joining remotely. So see you.
Yeah, I'd love
see
to
you
join remotely as well.
next week, and have a lovely rest of the week and good weekend.
Okay, bye.
And you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.